All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another special edition of the Pokemon Masterclass, which we like to call the Pokemon Roundtable, where we discuss the most important topics currently impacting the TCG. But as you guys know, I am never alone in this endeavor. I have by my side, once again, please welcome everybody, Jake from Pokenomics, PokemonRadar, ZandGEmporium, and our special guest joining us this evening, Mason from Cardinal Gaming. Guys, how we doing?
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Well, it's good to have all you guys here. You guys are looking lively. You all look like, especially Radar. We were commenting on this before we started. He has that very angelic look to him. After a whole month of very tiresome and strenuous auctions, he has come back looking better than ever. And I want to make mention here, our man Mason joining us tonight. Mason, I want to give you a big shout out for joining in tonight. It's so good to have you here, man.
Yes, just graduated up to the round table. I appreciate it for the invite. I really do.
Are any of us going to get knighted? We got to...
Maybe. Is that how it works? I don't know how it works.
Yeah, they're different goals to this.
You know, I was thinking that like after so many episodes, like if you're on for so many episodes, kind of like the old Saturday Night Live where you got like it was like the golden jacket or something after you hosted so many episodes. Maybe something like that. Maybe we'll get a Pikachu embroidered jacket for everybody.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too enticing. I can hear it in your voice.
James,
all right.
James will...
Yeah,
no,
James.
Jake will do it. Jake will do it.
We'll do a truth bomb video and wear one of those jackets.
Jake will just sing with the hat and the with the suit, and he'll just start singing.
What are you even talking about? That doesn't exist. That isn't online.
Did you take it down?
No, it's up. It's up. I should take it down because it's in case I want to have like any career. If my like therapist world ever sees that, it'd be hilarious.
I will say, man, it was a pretty catchy jingle, because I'm going to admit it here that I did catch myself actually humming the verses from it. So it did its job, I suppose.
Next time I'll make one with the four of you guys in it.
I saw
cases on people.
I saw Lauren in chat. She said the guy at the bottom has a nice face. So thank you, Lauren. I know you're not talking about James.
All right. Well, Mason, I guess we'll.
Yes.
I think you've maybe joined in before, maybe in the chats. But basically, the way that we like to work these is we all bring a particular topic to the table, the virtual table here, that we all like to discuss, and then we'll just kind of go around the horn here. So tonight I'll go ahead and start us off with our topic, and then we'll just kind of go in a clockwise round table, and that, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. We'll go clockwise, and then it'll come back. We'll end with you, and we'll just discuss this various topics and kind of give everybody a more holistic picture on that particular subject. Sound all right to you?
Awesome. I'm ready. Let's go.
Alrighty. So what I thought we could discuss here tonight isn't so much market related. What I'm interested to get your guys' perspective on is what you think of the overall kind of mentality of the Pokemon hobby and where you think it's going over the long term. So let me back it up with this. We've seen, and I'm sure you guys have, a little bit of a waning in interest in Pokemon over, I would say, the last few months especially. That could partly be due to maybe another set not coming out for a little while, not till Chilling Reign, but we've seen a little bit of a decrease in the overall interest of the hobby, really a juxtaposition to the meteoric rise of Pokemon over 2020. And then if you go back even further, there was a lull period from maybe 2018 to 2020 after the big rise once again in 2016 with the release of Pokemon Go and the 20th anniversary. So really what I want to get from you guys is where you think we're headed for the long term. Do you think we'll go through these cycles, perhaps these 5-year cycles, maybe every anniversary, every milestone, we'll see another big rise in the popularity of Pokemon, interest in Pokemon in the TCG? Or do you think that maybe we're starting to kind of the market, the hobby is starting to regulate itself, and we'll kind of go back to that 2019 kind of golden era period and just stay there for the long term. So Jake, I guess if you want to start us off on that one, take it away.
So a couple things I guess go through my head on that. One, certainly nobody like knows what's going to happen, right? We'll say that and get that out of the way. But I think that the Pokemon hobby was strong before this year. There was a fairly decent established market. There was a hardcore collector base. It's a huge franchise. It's $100 billion franchise. It was doing well. This year clearly helped that. Okay, so I think the panic level and some of the anxiety, I think, is a bit overblown. It's like people are more anxious now than they were a year ago, people who were in the hobby that whole way, which shows the irrational mindset. Now, I think that clearly this year is probably a bit of a one-off. I don't think, never say never. I don't think we'll ever have a year in Pokemon quite like this, but there may be other things that spur huge growth in the future, other big events, that we can't predict that may spur this collectible hobby or other collectible hobbies again. There may not be. So we may never see exponential growth again like we saw this year. I have no idea. I can't think of what exactly that would look like. All of the events that kind of came together this year that created what was a crazy year, but it's been good for the hobby overall. I think the negative parts are the poor advice that's been given, the hyping things up too much, the lack of patience, the FOMO, the first-time investors losing a lot of money, but they'll recover and probably still be engaged and interested in the hobby. I think the future of the hobby is really bright. I do think there are things, and I've been saying this all along, in the hobby that are investable, or that, and when I say investable, I mean that I think, no matter when you buy them, probably particularly now, in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they'll likely be more valuable. And there are other items that I think won't go back up to prices that they were now probably. I've been pretty consistent, I kind of think, in my views the whole time. All that being said, we don't really know. Did that answer your question, Pokenap? Did I miss any parts of it?
No, I think so, man. And it's really what I wanted to get to is where you think the hobby as a whole is headed. And I think you answered that pretty concisely, and just kind of the mindset behind it. Are we going to see kind of like what we've seen in other markets before, where it becomes really popular and then it phases out, and then it goes through another boom cycle and then it phases out? Do you think we'll see something like that similarly, with Pokemon, where we just go through these consistent cycles?
I think this was probably pretty unique. And there are a lot of features that probably are going to make this pretty unique. I think when we look back a long time from now, we'll view this as a pretty unique time period, but maybe not. So I do really want to put that message out there. So I think it's so important. I really enjoy this hobby. There's so many people who love and enjoy this hobby, and they haven't experienced down. They have it doesn't feel good to have your cards be worth less, or to worry that other people don't enjoy this as much. It's also not going to feel good that a lot of people were here. There were a lot of people in this space who were primarily or focused on making returns and quick returns. And those people are going to leave the hobby. I've been starting to buy again because I really like the cards, and I'm happy I can get them at a less expensive rate. I'm also glad that I sold a lot during this year so that I have money to start shopping again now and buy. I think there are going to be a lot of people in my boat buying the types of cards that I'm buying. That's going to really shore up the prices around that. How far down it's going to go, I don't know. It's not worth timing things. I think the best advice is buy what you enjoy, buy what you believe in, buy what you like. And very likely those are going to be items, if you understand the supply side, which isn't talked about nearly enough online when you talk about actually investing. If you understand that side and the risk, then you're going to be in good shape. And I think the people who've been buying like that may have lost some money and have a little bit of frustration, but they're also going to now keep buying, and over time, probably most of the items they bought will be valued and have some value. So that's my overall perspective on the market. I think I still like this hobby as much as I always have.
For sure. John, we'll go ahead and pass
I'm
along
up next. Yeah, well, hey guys, it's been a while since I've looked at YouTube and podcasting and Pokemon as a whole, but the interesting thing about what I've been doing with Pokemon is taking advantage of the experiences over, I guess, really the market, the cards itself. So I don't think, we hit a peak, I think, with the specific influencers and businesses and people that came into our hobby that allowed Pokemon to like be what it was during this short time period. And I try to get as much out of it as possible, experience wise and monetarily as well. I mean, I did some selling and still did some buying. So, I kind of stayed status quo with the market side of this stuff, because I just buy and sell into every market. But, I think the important thing the one thing that I'm noticing is with the increase of demand in the hobby and how many more people came in, there was just like a huge lack of knowledge throughout this entire time. And I think that's a big reason why prices went up. People were just buying to buy and following those lies, like Jake said, that they heard or were told. But overall, I think with the amount of time people have put in and money they've put in and time, they as people start to exit, the Pokemon, I guess, market will still be bigger than it was before. It'll be smarter than it was before once we start, I guess, weeding out those hype beasts or whoever. We see another time like this, sure. I think, there's going to be plenty of new media outlets that come out that we don't even think of in our head right now that increase the exposure of Pokemon. And honestly, new influencers, new businesses that I can't even think of at the moment. But, these things, the world changes, technology moves fast, and whatever happens in that industry could very easily blow Pokemon up again. But again, no clue. So strong IP, people are getting smarter, and I think that's going to allow, like Jake said, the certain specific sets cards are going to continue to do well, and a lot of the other junk is going to, in my opinion, still see a harsher fall from where we are today. But yeah,
that's good.
That's what I got.
Oh, that's excellent, man. And we were discussing that a little bit before we started as well, of what you had witnessed during these auctions, a lot of really unexpected results in the things that people were basically buying for under market value, really high valued items under market value, and items that aren't nearly as rare. The old Scott Pratt saying, rare, minter, better, older, something to that extent, that those items were being overlooked and we're going for well under market value, and then items that are much more readily available going and fetching a much higher price. So go ahead.
I was seeing PSA 5s, 7s, 8s of uncommons and commons sell for $50, and it was just astounding. I had to bite my tongue a lot of the time, but people were just excited to be a part of it, of what was going on. And when the big items came on, like there was a PSA 10 first edition shiny Charizard, it hit market, it did well, but everything else was just shocking to see all those slabs go for so much money. And I just thought it was a lack of knowledge, or maybe just people just wanted to be a part of what was going on. It's hard to gauge, but yeah.
I think one interesting thing I've been thinking about is, and I think Mason, to stuff we had talked about privately, it's this idea of who makes up most of the market, and it is most people right now. Do they have $50? And so they just don't have the money for the higher end items, and those people just dried up. And so even if those items are in the long run, as more money comes into the hobby and will do the best, it's they just want a slab because it's fun to own your first slab or your first few slabs, and you want to show it to your buddy, and it's only $50 and it's in this cool case, and you can brag I have a graded card. And when you're so deep into it, you kind of lose sight. You can lose sight of like what is going on in a person's head who's like new to the hobby. Now, that doesn't make them right. Those are not good investments, right? Like as an investment, those aren't good. But it explains why those sell. Now the real question is like when all of that stuff comes back from PSA, how many of those people? Because I'm hearing a lot of like card stores starting to sell slabs more and looking for those like pretty cheap slabs to flip at $50, $60, $70. Will all those be eaten up? You know, it'll be really interesting to see, like Mason, like at your store, you know, that type of stuff. Yeah, it's kind of it. Yeah, so sorry for jumping back in, but I think it's fascinating that data point, John, that you got to see, you know, through the whatnot and what is selling, what isn't selling.
Yeah, and there was a lot of that. There was a lot of people saying, "Oh, I got my first slab," and they were very happy. And there was a lot of that going on, and people looking to complete sets, you know, crack out cards and and so there was that, you know, that there is an aspect to whatnot that, you know, you see it in real time, you see the card, and like when I was doing the auctions personally, you know, I was showing the card, explaining the grade, why it got what it got, and that might have helped as well. So a little bit different than looking on eBay or
yeah. I also have a theory that the vintage stuff is what retraced first because it was the people who really are aware of the market and the trends, and so they're aware of the anxiety and the panic, and that the vast majority of the market isn't even aware because they don't listen to any of this and watch any of this. They just buy a $50 slab and forget about it, you know, that type of thing. So be interesting to see.
James, what about you, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, I think really we're just going to have to kind of find a bottom first. And I'm not sure what, you know, certain cards really haven't gone down, you know, in this market, and some have fallen hard. So, you know, those bellwethers, something like, you know, a PSA 9 unlimited base set Charizard. I think that's one that's kind of, you know, kind of rolling the roller coaster, right? Once we find that bottom on some of these kind of, you know, you can call them the blue chip kind of stocks in the actual portfolio of Pokemon, you know, if you're just putting it to that kind of, you know, putting it together. But once you see that kind of hit a bottom, I see it going, you know, like it was for years and years and years before. Maybe, you know, slight, you know, growth, maybe flatten certain things. Certain ones that are a lot more rare or a lot less supply out there will have, you know, you can see auctions up there that all of a sudden it jumps in price. But I think we're really going to have to see a bottom on, you know, especially some of these vintage cards with a lot of supply out there. You know, like base set, like I said, I think it's a good bellwether to kind of follow. You know, for example, you know, I think the PSA 9 Charizard was like over $7,000 in October, November. I think now it's like an $1,100, $1,200 card. So, you know, once you see something like that start to really stabilize, I think we're gonna, you know, kind of go from there. But I also want to point to the fact that there was, you know, like Jake was saying, I mean, it could have been just, you know, a black swan event last year. You know, there's a confluence of so many different things that happened with the COVID and the stimulus and the influencers, as well as PSA being absolutely backlogged, which shut down the supply. I mean, there were just so many things that just came in at once, right? I mean, and that happened for a lot of industries, not just Pokemon. I mean, commodities, housing. I mean, there were a lot of things that just had these, you know, once in a blue moon event. So, you know, there also people have to realize that, you know, there's a chance that, and I just made a video that I'll probably do it tomorrow, but there's a chance that some of these cards will never touch where it was in October, November 2020 for infinity. You know, I mean, it's very possible. So, you know, I guess I see a bright future, but does bright future mean, hey, we're gonna go right back to where it was or way past it, and just all those you know, hodl memes, you know, you see on you know, cryptocurrency and stocks? It's like, I'll just hold it, no worries. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, I do see, you know, whenever we find that kind of bottom on a lot of these prices for these, cards that have a whole lot of supply out there, and start to, I just see, pretty solid, like it was before, pretty solid trend line from there.
Mm-hmm. No, and it makes sense, right? And again, it's kind of going back to what John was talking about, where the hobby, I feel like the longer that people stay in it, the more knowledgeable that they become, right? The more that they really understand the diversity and the true inherent value in a lot of these products. And so a lot of those that you saw reaching the meteoric heights back in 2020 and was mainly based on hysteria in a lot of ways, we probably won't see nearly as much of that, which in my opinion, you guys can tell me if you agree with this, but really I think for a healthy hobby and a healthy investment, that's really what you want to see, right? You don't want to see those super highs and super lows. You want to see just consistent growth, and stagnation, I mean, is nothing necessarily to worry about, but you just want to see that more of an equilibrium, I guess I should say, over the long term.
I'd love to see $7,000 PSA 9 unlimited Charizards again.
I would too, personally. I'm sure there's many of us that would. But
I think another thing that's really important, to go off what Z was saying, is that, and just I really want to preach patience a lot for the community, because we're going to have waves of sell-offs. So like in markets like this, when things sell really quickly and sell off, what usually happens is people start to hold their items waiting for the market to come back up because they feel bad. They wish they had sold it. They didn't really want the item. They actually wanted to sell it at a higher rate, but they were holding to get it for higher. So just follow this with me, guys. So the market comes down, right? Now they're stuck with this item. Instead of selling it, they hold on to it because it's quite a bit of a lower item, even though they intend to sell it eventually. As soon as that market starts moving back up, you're going to have that downward pressure again from all of those people. And that's the devastation of bubbles and bubbles popping, is it creates a lot of psychology, which keeps the prices down for a while. It's very difficult for it to come back up after that very quickly. So I think it's just having that patience and understanding that. Now, nothing is certain, and things can happen, and different parts of the market can work very differently. But I just really encourage people to read a book on investing, read a book on the psychology of investing, on the psychology of these types of things, study these graphs, study these charts, because although it's Pokemon, it's still a market, and markets tend to work very similarly across different assets and different things. So I just want people to be prepared. And I think that was where my channel is trying to come from this year, about that. Just understand what you're getting into, the risk, the patience, do you really enjoy this, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
And, just knowing too, like you were talking about the waves. I mean, there are a whole lot of Pokemon cards with PSA in October, November, December. I know just from Graded Gems. So I mean, those have not come back yet, and probably won't for months and months and months. So there's more waves coming, and of course, PSA shut down because they got so much in that 1 week. February, March, whatever it is. So there will be just kind of different waves that come back of those. But
yeah.
Mason,
Right.
You want to get in on this?
Mason.
Yeah. I mean, I was just listening to what you guys had to say, because of course you guys have more experience with graded things and just singles in general, especially vintage stuff compared to me. But I mean, on my side, it's interesting to see how an outside force can affect a market, because with the whole thing and the end of the year last year, we saw such an amazing, just out of nowhere growth, explosion of popularity, and people that normally would not be investing in these type of products come into the market and say, I've told this story before, where I've had a guy come into my store and bought almost every Charizard I had. Didn't care what grade, didn't care what it was, shadowless, base set, didn't care. He just bought them all. And you see those kind of people coming in, and I don't know if we'll ever see something cause that effect again. I don't know. Not all at once, not like that. And like Jake, you were saying, what do these people do with that bought all these cards? What are they going to do with these?
Yeah.
somebody that's like that, where just came through and just, all right, people are talking about this, I'm going to buy it up and hold. How long are they going to hold? How long do they, wait for the bottom to drop out before they start dumping as well? Nobody knows. That's going to be the real question.
Yeah,
but
there's going to be a lot of pain on those high supply items.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Particularly, there's going to be pain all around, and there already has been for sure. But,
yeah, I mean, they were talking about the numbers of just cards sold. Just new packs of cards sold. What they said, over 3 billion cards last year, compared to like the 1.7 or whatever.
It was like 2x.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but and if they actually had stock in stores, they probably would have even sold it even more. So it's just this explosive demand. I don't know what could cause that. Like you said, I don't know what could cause that anymore. But it just shows the power of influence and how things can, roll downhill very quickly. And I think overall, talking about the modern market and people that are in the game now, I think we gained a lot of folks, that maybe had a renewed interest or are going to stick around. And those Charizard holders will probably quietly exit, and go, okay, maybe I should not play with this anymore. But I think, a lot of folks are going to hang around. I've seen people, that have come into the hobby, the fact they're even able to get product now is awesome because that gives them something to renew their interest and keep their interest up. Whereas before, when, the big drought between pretty much Vivid Voltage and Battle Styles, people were really getting upset and, and kind of getting burnt out just because the more casual people that came in, of course, you talk about the casuals versus, the Charizard holders, the two very opposite parts of the spectrum. But obviously, the casual people far outweighed the people that, wanted to just buy up and scoop up everything. So, and, I think Pokemon as a business wants to hold those people more than the speculative, investing type people. So obviously they're going to start feeding and catering to those kind of people and keep them around. And obviously, like I said, as we get more products out and people are able to find cards and start collecting again and at a reasonable price, which helps a lot, that's going to be an overall net positive. Vintage and modern is it's two different topics. You can separate the hobby down the middle and talk about it, and it'd be completely different, things and people experiencing different things, and both sides of that. So it's interesting what modern's going to do, especially now that products out there and people can actually do what they want to do, crack packs and collect and chase the rares and for a reasonable price, not spend so much money. And Vintage is in a weird spot. We got all this graded stuff coming back. Still haven't even seen a fraction of what could potentially be coming back. No, it's two very opposite situations, which it's going to be very interesting to see how they play out.
No, really good, man. It's and one of the things that I thought was really great to have you as part of this conversation, Mason, is you're seeing this on a daily basis in your store. And that's why I really wanted to get you on here as well, to have a LGS, a card shop owner's perspective, because a lot of the time, especially with modern products, you guys are at the forefront with the changes in the market. A good buddy of mine, a guy that I've worked with now for a while, Rocky, here in the local Phoenix area, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to corroborate with him as well, is to get that perspective, because I think a lot of the time we have such a passionate interest about the vintage market, but then very often the things that are changing in the modern markets, there's misunderstandings there, and there's not a lot of information being passed along that you guys are seeing on the back end and really from the top down, from Pokemon down. So I think it offers a really great perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, just any information from LGS is, what's selling, what people are selling to them, things coming and going. That's very important to just gauging the hobby in general. I think it's a good perspective to have. And, I am still selling a lot of vintage stuff, especially the better condition stuff. But, people maybe building, dinged up cards for binder collections. maybe not so much, but people still seem to be buying, especially as prices slip down a little bit. That, you know, they're starting to really kind of, if you have to get one that's not like gradable, okay, but even better condition stuff is still selling very well, and for the prices, like I said, that they're coming down to the extent that they are, I'm seeing a lot of things still moving. So it's definitely still buyers out there, you know.
Well, good deal. All right, well, I appreciate that, guys. Jake, I think I'll go ahead and pass it along to you, man.
Oh gosh. I'm still trying to figure out, like, I have a few possible questions in my mind. I really wanted to talk about Modern a little bit tonight and ask some sort of question on Modern, particularly with Mason joining the panel. Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in let's see. I have a very specific question I want to ask Mason, but I'm trying to frame it in a way that we can all answer that's going to be broader.
I've got one to jump in on if you want.
Okay, jump in and let me formulate for a little bit. Yeah. All
right. So hopefully this fires you guys up a little bit. I don't know if I've been spending too much time in LA, but I'm super bullish on digital collectibles and NFTs now. And the fact that Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And these other card games haven't come out with like a legitimate app or online marketplace where people can buy, sell, trade, open packs at reasonable MSRP just to enjoy the hobby and enjoy what's going on and avoid this huge headache of Target, Walmart, and allocations is mind-blowing. I know there's a couple apps doing it and everybody has ideas, but I'm really bullish on this idea now of digital collectibles truly taking over. I know there's the conversation of why would you want something that you can't even touch or hold, but the overwhelming, I guess, like hoarding of collectibles and all that stuff it hurts me. Like I get overwhelmed all the time with all the stuff I have. And if I could have it digital and work with it that way and still collect that way and look at my collection and share it with people online, it would be great. So I'm curious about all your guys' thoughts on a true digital collectible, not these shifty NFTs that we're seeing of influencers making their own art, but like a real IP. Like you can like have a digital binder. You can have one of 40s. You can see collection completions and do it in a real wholesome way instead of siphoning money from people.
Yeah, I was going to ask John, what do you in your ideal situation, what do you see that as? Like, what do you like? Actual cards? You want to just like make reproduction cards? You want to make new cards? I mean, what do you?
All of it.
In your mind, what's perfect?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, what's perfect is like a digital Topps Chrome set for Pokemon.
Okay.
And it allows you can buy packs for $2.99 or whatever, and whoever the maker is, the app can release a certain amount of packs for a limited edition, or they can release unlimited. They can have rewards and chases for people that complete the set first, or just a fun interactive collecting community. I mean, one of the things that I grew up with was called Cartoon Orbit on CartoonNetwork.com, and
dude,
you could buy anything.
Like I remember that, yeah.
And it actually died, and then like fans recreated it, calling it Collectoons, and then that died a few years ago too. But that's how I learned how to auction and collect, because there were auctions, you could trade with people. There was an actual card game within that website as well. You could buy packs and open.
Wow. Okay.
If you were smart enough, you could scam people in the trade area, which I picked up later on as I got older. But like
you tried to quickly send one before, right as they were clicking trade,
and then exit. Yeah, and then like exit out or something. Yeah, you could. So like you had your own homepage where you could fill up with all of your digital collectoons, your Samurai Jacks, your Powerpuff Girls, it had like all the DC heroes. Like it was super cool, and like some of them made sound, some of them were animated, some of them were limited. Like it was, and you could go to random pages and find people's collections, and it was just cool. And there were sets you could complete. So like I'm really bullish on this idea now. As much as I hated it before, like I want it to happen.
Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and start us off on that one. You know, it's like I see it from two different perspectives, right? Because I see the larger macroeconomy. I see this shift that has been happening for the last 10, 15 years where we have been moving so many things to digital format. I mean, how many of you guys have DVDs in your house still? How many of you guys still have all of these things that we used to have as a tangible asset, not necessarily a collectible, but a tangible asset that has now all been converted to some kind of streaming, some kind of digital way of being able to utilize that particular product or service. So I can see definitely that we could have this influx of people, much like cryptocurrency, where you're starting to move from an actual tangible physical asset to digital, much like everything else has. On the opposite end of that, I can also see that a lot of people, I think, are a little bit trepidatious about that and are still trepidatious about a completely digital platform, a completely digital currency, a completely digital asset, and they like to have that actual physical product in their hands. I know a lot of people in the alternatives market that are actually buying actual physical gold and silver, whereas in the past they were purchasing stocks or purchasing into gold and silver mining companies, whereas now there's been more of a push towards actually garnering the actual physical asset itself. So I could really see both. I could see a portion of people wanting that and moving towards that and having that NFT, that digital Pokemon card, and then another segment of the market holding, basically holding strong and saying, no, I actually want to have the physical product in my hands, in my collection, because they're just kind of scared, right? There's always going to be early adopters, and there's going to be people that cling to that. So I think at some point we could have this schism that exists between the old school Pokemon collectors that have the physical cards and the newer generation that is looking strictly for the digital products. Speechless.
Yeah, I could definitely see it happening. I haven't really even thought about it at this point. So I don't know if I'm bullish or bearish on it, but I mean,
all in. Z's all in.
I mean, just think about it. I mean, think about how many people do like the video game, like try to catch the shiny Pokemon. They'll restart their game 10,000 times to get this digital, little avatar. They have, oh, it's a shiny Dratini, whatever, and I think they can actually sell those. Like people will do that and trade them, and people can buy them. So people, are really kind of are doing that with, the video game. If you have these little digital monsters already, so just to make it into a card and really just kind of create a market around it. I could see a world where it kind of shifts a little bit towards that. And I'm considering I'm almost 34, I'm a little old over here, so I think I'm gonna be sticking with the physical, but at the same time we have cryptocurrencies, we have all this digital stuff. So I think there are probably going to be people that will, adopt it early and probably will make a whole lot and really have a lot of fun. I mean, they're, early adopters. It's high risk, but it's also, high reward if you get into that. So yeah, I could definitely see it being something. Am I super bullish or bearish on? I don't really know. It'll be interesting. Has there been any talk about Pokemon actually doing that, actually making an actual licensed one of those yet, or no? I don't know.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it.
I've heard plenty about it. Nothing I would.
Nothing official.
I would say.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of speculation about it over the past few months from lots of people. Yeah.
I mean, they have it right with the PTCGO or whatever the acronym is, but it's purely for playing. But you can open packs.
Yeah.
So it has a part of it, but it's not.
I think the two pieces to this conversation are, does the blockchain add anything, or has this always existed, John, without the blockchain? So that's one whole conversation. We go down the rabbit hole of does that provide ownership in a way that it was never provided before, and that's why it's a new thing right now? Or is this just a push of an old idea, doing it in an age where people are starting to collect again, and we are all a lot more tech connected and focused than our parents were when they were our age, and so it makes a lot of sense in that sort of way. I think there's a lot of competition for people's attention in this world. There's a lot of competition for people's attention, and it's the physical cards, the in the collectibles hobby, there's all sorts of competition. There's video games, there's now there's going to be like going back out, hanging out with your friends, movies, there's all sorts of competition for your time and attention. Why is this going to grab it more than the physical? Why is this going to grab it more than something that's already been established, where people are already connected to? When someone shows me one of these Charizard cards, I don't care if no one else values it. I value it because it's for my life. It's important. It's actually important to me for my own life, for my own memories, for my own experience. So how are you going to build that? Now you can use the IP, put it on the digital, and then people feel somehow connected to it, or it skips some of those psychological steps. I think the concern I would have is, what is going to succeed in that? Is there going to be too much noise, too many things competing for my attention that people are just going to ignore all of it? I do think kids today cannot get off their screens. They're connected to their screens, even most adults now. And so clearly something that they can collect with their friends in school, that they can like show to each other easily on the phone, like they're home run ideas. Like I'm 100% in agreement with you, John, fundamentally about like, why isn't this a thing in some context, that there isn't some sort of collector thing online, just like we had that Cartoon Network thing, which people loved when we were kids.
I want that back so bad.
Yeah. So I think starting a business in that space is interesting, right? If you have like a really good idea, or if you have like an IP like Pokemon, you should absolutely be exploring that sort of space, because there might be a lot of money to be made there. You also may lose like younger fan bases. This is what I'd be thinking as an exec. You might lose younger fan bases if Yu-Gi-Oh does it, or Dragon Ball Z does it and grabs a lot of the kids and a lot of the young people, rather than doing it in Pokemon. I think people are going to compete for the next generation's attention, for the next generation's commitment, all that sort of stuff. The way that I invest, I don't invest in things that don't have a clear answer to. Like, it's interesting. It's the type of thing I would keep my eye on until something becomes where I really see how that thing is going to be the thing that garners all that demand and attention, and jump on that. I think there's a lot of salesman BS going on, and there is all the time, but like around like people's individual products and individual ideas, because people are trying to sell their product and get funding and all those sorts of things. I think that's just like what you have to be careful with, is like, is this like a cool idea, or is this like a business that people are like connected to and engaged in? But like, I'm definitely with you, John, that like I'm paying close attention to it. And if something pops out in it that I would absolutely invest in something that made sense to me in the digital collectible world. So that's my feeling.
I have something in the works.
Oh yeah?
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why he's not staying in California. He doesn't want those high taxes. Starting a business, don't want those high taxes.
What do you think, Mason? Are you going to start selling digital collectibles out of your physical store?
I mean, I wouldn't be
That's
against
the future right there.
Why not? That sounds like a good idea. I'm not totally against the idea. I think it's definitely viable. I think, Hot Shots and all that kind of prove that there is people that want some sort of digital collectible. Obviously, whether or not it's sustainable, whether or not it's doesn't just become like a rat race where it's like, okay, let's make a rainbow one of this or something, something wild. How do you keep monetizing that? Pokemon is, John, you brought up Pokemon trading card online. Pokemon is very against monetizing digital assets. Like, you can't sell the cards on there. They're very against that. You can't even sell like the packs that you have on your account. So I'm sure that has to do just because the kids are on it, and how do you not turn this into like a loot box situation where, kids are just racking up credit cards and opening a bunch of packs, I think that's a big thing that would have to be figured out. And, there's even litigation that's going on in this country and, in Europe and all over about random things of chance that are digital, and whether or not they have value, and monetizing that kind of stuff. So
sorry to stop you, but I want to touch on that. With I mean, with the early Pokemon games and the cards, they were pushing trades. They made Pokemon that would only evolve through trades. So why wouldn't they allow trades on
No, I'm not saying that they wouldn't do that. I'm just saying for money, or like having some sort of value assigned to those items is probably they would
it just
not
seems
be happy
like
about.
a lack of care on their part, or they're just
No,
not
I
paying
mean,
attention to what.
you're absolutely right. Yeah, I'm sure there's a way to do it, and they could probably figure it out. But
I think like the Pokemon games were super addicting, right? Can you imagine if you could like make money and sell those things, how addicting they'd be? Can you imagine if there was a random like more random elements in the game? Now there are already random elements, and the shiny element is the best thing we can talk about here, right? That's the gambling element. I'm going to hunt for that shiny, the random chance of getting that, and then I could sell that, to someone else, or show it in some way that everyone can see it, rather than just like keeping it on my own, Game Boy, that type of thing. I think that like clearly that would connect to people's dopamine receptors, but how all that gets regulated and handled, I think is a great point, Mason. I think that's what you always have to be thinking about too when you invest in things, is like you have to think, like, you should think about the ethics and moral probably from just like a human element, but also from like a greedy element of like, is this going to be shut down, or is this going to get bad publicity, and are parents going to allow their kids to do this type of thing? Like, that's all extreme, and these companies are going to be thinking about that for you. We as investors just need to pick like the ones that seem like they're addressing those things and thinking about them and are the smartest ones. Going with Pokemon's a good bet. It's why Pokemon Company is amazing. They've done an amazing job. They've just killed everything. They just crush competition. So if they get involved in this world, I will probably put money on them being one of the successful ones. But yeah,
and I think you're right, and I think Mason's right, and he touched on that. It's probably be interesting to see if they actually ever do it, because they're just pretty against buying it for sale. I mean,
exploiting children, they're pretty against that.
They banned the cards in EO that had arcades. I mean, they got rid of the arcade and casino.
That's true. Yeah.
Game Boy Red, which was, I spent hours playing those casino. I mean, they were a lot of fun. They just they got rid of them because they just didn't want that kind of aspect. So, I think they kind of squashed that a long time ago, and they kind of had that stance since then. So, let's see if anything kind of changes there.
One of the things that you said, Jake, just real quick here, that I want to piggyback off of is, talking about the psychology, and I'm sure you can comment on this as well, and talking about how much we have become integrated into the digital sphere. Like you said, you can't find a child under the age of 10 nowadays that isn't fully implanted into a screen. And I think as we go along, from a psychological perspective, we may reach a point where there is a deep yearning for the physical, for the tangible, that we used to once have at a much greater degree. So as much as this would be great, from the perspective, from more of a logistical perspective, I think it would probably have a better or an easier path of regulating something like this in the digital format than you would in the physical. But I just wonder if at some point that we will have, and especially generations coming up, will have that yearning for the physical product.
I think the key though with that is you have to develop a relationship with it at some point. So it's hard to yearn for something that you've never had or you have no relationship with at all. But I think it's a great point that society tends to work cyclical, and we do see that generations after generations tend to respond to the previous generation and do something differently. So you could see a generation of tech people, and then you have all your parents on tech, and you're like, tech's stupid, my parents do it, and you go more, so like that type. But I think you need that experience. Like you need to, a big part. So there are different parts of something being collectible. It's the chase, it's the showing off, it's the being, the cool one, but it's also the memories and the connection to your life. And like without that, I think that it's a bit hollow. I mean, I think we're really going to see like Top Shot is, getting destroyed right now, right? It's like basically things are becoming worth very little on there, and because there's no connection to any of it, and it's not even that important moments, and it's a great example of there has to be something that people like and that people value underneath it all at the end of the day when that hype dies down.
Right, and they did it so manipulatively, like you can create it in an like that Pokemon was created organically. Like I'm sure there was conversations in the boardroom probably that weren't as organic, but
they didn't want to be successful. They just wanted kids to like have fun.
But like, yeah, it came off and was treated as organic and real, and I mean that same thing can happen with digital collectibles. So maybe Pokemon Arceus will be the next RuneScape, and we'll be selling Pokemon coins or something in real life.
Dude, RuneScape economy. I'm all about the RuneScape economy. I'm obsessed with that.
Oh, that was a good one, John. That and I think it's something that we've all been thinking about, that we've seen, passed around throughout across the internet, and we've seen the volatility, in something like crypto, and they're just so, like you guys were saying, it can seem so overwhelming sometimes, the amount of assets that are really out there, and nobody wants to miss out, right? Everybody wants to be in on the next great investment, and it'll just be, I guess time will tell all with that, but it is a really interesting idea, and definitely the way that I see the world moving.
All run by fear. People go grab cash out of the bank because they're scared. They go get gas and fill up trash bags with it because they're scared.
Yeah. Don't invest out of fear. Invest out of knowledge and understanding something is valuable. That would be my suggestion as a value investor is invest in things that you understand, that you see the value there, and ideally that you see other people are missing it. Being early to something is really seeing the value in something before other people get there or see that. It's not taking something that has no value and pumping it up manipulatively and then getting a bunch of people to jump on and dropping it. Which is what we're seeing. The quality of the asset, they just think about the price. Is the price going to go up? Is the price going to go down? They don't think about the actual thing. And that's a real, you're going to get, over time, you're going to probably get destroyed by that. The people getting rich off of you are going to be the companies that are making money off of each of your trades and or sales, i.e. eBay, and or your PSA grading, fees. They're the ones that skim the money off the top, and it's just people trading back and forth, slowly losing.
Jake, the more I sit here, the more like nostalgic I get for Cartoon Orbit, and like I
don't know how many people in the chat. I'm not watching the chat right now, but Cartoon Orbit. I tried to look it up a few years ago to try and do it again, because it was just so
tunes.
Amazing. Yeah. I used to watch all of the used to watch the shows, and for the codes. Do you remember all of that to try and get the code for the super thing? Yeah.
There was a special code specifically for a golden buttercup from the Powerpuff Girls DVD.
And then they had the blue framed ones that were the club one or whatever that were the best ones. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Me and Jake will do a chat on this separately.
We'll do a chat with 5 people watching one day on that topic. That's John and I.
No idea what you guys are talking about, but sounds fun.
Oh, it's great. It was great. They had Dragon Ball Z, so I was all about it.
All right. Well, Jake, were you able to get something cooking for us?
So I'm gonna change it up. I want to hear you guys talk about how you deal with risk in your business. So speaking from a financial business perspective, how you handle and deal with risk, both in, whether it's positive times, negative times, just overall how you handle and deal with it. And if anyone wants to start, they can jump in. You guys can take a second to think about where you want to go with it.
I probably don't have much to say because I don't really do much analysis on my end or think about what I'm doing. I just go and do what I enjoy, and I talk about this all the time about my intuition being treating me quite well. Obviously, I could do so much better, but the risk mitigation for me is pretty non-existent. I just I just go out and see opportunities and chase them, and they tend to work out recently. I mean, I'll probably end up broke on the street one day, but
you do more than that. So take me. I'm gonna push you a little bit here. So
okay.
so you find a trophy card, right? You locate a trophy card. Like, let's take us through an event this year, which is we can think of one.
Yeah,
you locate a trophy card. How do you assess the value of that? How do you assess how much you should pay for it? How much you're probably going to get for it? And how do you think about the risk of, if I can't get that, or do I need to get the money out of it quickly? Or, like, I'm sure you think about that stuff. I know you do, because we talked a little bit about it.
Yeah. So we'll say specifically, well, this is a recent one that I'm probably have held on to longer than any other one. I bought a TMB number 3, the Executor trophy, 7.5 with Enlightened Bulbasaur. We paid $105,000 for it off of Yahoo Japan. And while it was going up for auction, we just assessed all the conversations that were being had in different Discords and E4, and that we were having separately with people. We took a look at the other trophies of that tier, which would be SSB, Pika trophies, maybe the Trophy King, and some other Pika trophies as well that are sub 50 in existence. Take a look at all the different price points and price data. Again, look around on Instagram and pay attention to the bigger trophy collectors to see what items they're missing in their collection and might be interested in, and assessing a value from there. So we had, we actually pinned it at, I think we wanted to pay only like 90,000, but ended up going a little bit over because we figured we could get like around 150, maybe 175 for the. Yeah, I guess into it, a lot of money, and I think at the time it was stretching me pretty thin. And I had a buyer lined up for that one, but he ended up backing out. So
right there for the audience, that's one way of really minimizing risk, is having a buyer lined up, right?
Yeah.
Or hypothetically have it minimizing.
Yeah. So I guess, I do have things more planned out than I think, but yeah, it fell through, and I didn't have a backup plan. So we have it. I have a little bit of interest in it, some trade offers, and but it's not. Yeah, like it's just a lot of money that's just sitting out there that I wasn't completely prepared to sit on for this long. So, it was just one of those things that, I mean, it's so arbitrary, these trophy cards, but there's a lot of just information and understanding of who's who and who has what.
And so do you have enough capital? Did you leverage yourself on credit to buy that card? Did you have the capital to buy it?
I had the capital, but it tapped me out completely. So it just kind of shot down the opportunity to buy anything else at that time. So, yeah.
And so that was the risk you were willing to take.
Yeah.
Would you have gone on to leverage? Would you have leveraged yourself even with a buyer?
No.
Yeah. I think everyone has their own level of risk, is part of why I ask those questions, that they're comfortable with.
I used to do that early on when I didn't have money and was buying this stuff, and it was much cheaper. Yeah. But it was also in a time of clear kind of healthy growth, like James was talking about before, how that it was just very obvious of the point in time we were in the market. So I could buy and flip within 30 days and be okay. But with the volatility now, you have a bunch of big scores, and then one thing doesn't land, and so it's a different way to play the game. And I did not want to I didn't want to take on any leverage in this market.
I'm seeing a lot of people who did this trading up thing this year. I don't know if you guys are seeing this too, who are now stuck with big items that they traded into that they can't sell. And with the idea that trading up is the best way to make money, and those items do the best in these sorts of things. And I'm seeing it in the sports card world in particular with people I talk to there.
Well, the amounts also got so astronomically high that people don't carry this cash around. So trades were kind of required. I mean, I remember at a time in my Pokemon life of kind of only doing trades and for a little bit, and then a very long period of only doing cash because I just don't want to deal with it. It's a headache. And now again to only trades because it's just like a whole different level. So it fluctuates. Like every part of the market fluctuates, not just the numbers.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking about this with my managers, my partner today, about putting a value and buying into particularly heavily and expensive items, that may come into my store or I buy out of a collection or something like that. And, what do we value and how safe do we want to play something that is very expensive? We were just throwing out the number of $500, just as kind of like something that starts to get, pretty up there as far as something that walks in my door, right?
Sure.
If I wanted to be more aggressive on something like that, or do I want to be, when you value, do I want 5 things worth $100 that are fast moving, or do I want that $500 thing that may be slow moving, but is probably less, susceptible to fluctuation, And do I want to be more aggressive on something like that, or do I want to be less aggressive, just because with the market being as it is, like how do I gauge where something that's very expensive going to go,
Yeah.
So when any week a PWCC auction could pop up and we see a card value lose 25%, so it's something that we had a conversation today about it, and it is something that from a business standpoint, it's something that we kind of have to balance more so than, and we kind of have the luxury of, I have all these other things around me that I could sell if I had to, get capital right away. But yeah, I feel for, people that are, I am both envious and I feel for people in like John's position, because those are awesome, high stakes, awesome, exciting purchases to make, but they're also very scary and very ballsy and very ballsy. And I both envy and like I said, I fear for the decisions that he has to make. I'm going to watch him do it rather than try to do it myself, let's say.
There's also the risk of like getting scammed when you buy from those things.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
The money disappearing in Japan, and it's a lot.
It took 3 weeks to get that card.
It's frightening.
That's why the buyer backed out, because it took so long. Well, I know it took longer than 3 weeks, and yeah, it made the buyer a little bit unsettled, and he backed out. Yeah, that was stressful.
I think when I think of like risk for you, Mason, I think of, so in normal times, there's a risk in buying a lot of sealed product. Like how much do you put in,
yeah.
Right? During these times, it's like, I'll take as much as you can get. Everyone's been doing that.
Right, yeah.
When everyone's doing that, that ain't gonna last. Like that's, unless Pokemon just never prints more, right? So that risk of like when that stops lasting, do you end up putting $100,000, $200,000 into battle styles, and then you can't move all of it, and then if that money's sitting there, do you have enough money for like the next release, the next set that might be hotter? And like making those types of situations, I imagine, is like the daily grind of risk assessment around like how to deploy your money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially like you said with sealed product, things coming in waves. So, when something's not as hot as it was on release, I'm stuck getting half or more sometimes of this product that, the market may not be there. Luckily on something like sealed product, we can trickle it out and it'll move eventually. Yeah. But, as a store, like I said, I have that luxury of having people constantly wanting that product, even if they maybe don't want it during the hype period of it, because I have players and stuff, people that are going to buy battle styles for the next 2 years. So I'm very lucky in that regard. But what about these guys that are working out of their basements, out of their spare bedrooms, that are sitting on all this product because they threw this big number out there, and they're stuck with all these battle style boxes that, aren't moving. Mm-hmm. That's the people that, we're seeing these dumping this product because Chilling Reign is right around the corner. We're 2 weeks out from that.
Yeah.
Then the EV set's coming. We gotta, it's a constant. You have to keep this money churning to keep this rolling, and if you don't, that kills your business. Yeah. So yeah, it's very scary. And as things start to temper down, and fortunate enough to get all of my product I asked for Chilling Reign. That's going to be in waves, of course, but I'm going to get what I asked for. But as this ramps up and product gets more plentiful again, you got to kind of weigh, how much do I really want of this? Do I really want to put in that 1,000 box order? Because I might get all those 1,000 boxes, and I might get 600 of them 2 months after the set releases.
Not everyone is Rudy.
No,
in the sense that not everyone can have a Rudy's bathroom of Pokemon for 6 years and then become a millionaire.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just be like, I give up. This isn't selling, but I don't need the money because I have so much, so many sources of income.
Right.
I want to see his numbers on evolutions. That must be nuts.
Yeah. He was trying to dump that. He was trying to dump it on. Patrons didn't want it.
I didn't buy any either. I was
$80 for he had a lot of the blisters. Is what he had, just like a ton. I don't know where he got all from, but tons and tons of blisters.
Yeah, I'm actually on his Patreon account, and
that's right.
I remember when he was doing Roaring Skies for $69 a box, trying to get rid of it. It's just like he got.
And I think he bought him at like 200. I think he was one of the guys who did chase it up a little bit. I think it got up to 3. John, you might remember who it was like 3, 4. And Z, we were like just starting, I think, on the hobby, right? And Pokemon, you started a little bit before us, like 2015.
Like back into the hobby.
Yeah.
Early 2016.
2016, okay, a little bit before. So we were all there around that,
I remember specifically the Evo was like, he was paying like 40 cents a pack or something. Because he just bought out distributors and was trying to sell them for like 60 cents a pack or something. Like he was
Well, I can remember as early as like February, March of last year, I was picking up Evolution's booster boxes for like $75 a box, even early last year. And and Mason, I like what you brought to the table there, discussing battle styles, because I think one of the most difficult things in mitigating risk is understanding how much you can actually leverage yourself, right? How much you can actually, how much risk you're willing to take. And that's something that in the financial markets, as when I was an advisor, that was the first thing that we always discussed with our client was, where do you fall on that risk tolerance spectrum? How much risk are you willing to take for that added reward? I recently made a video talking about battle styles and the price drops, and with battle styles coming in those 2 waves, I think a lot of people out there, card shop owners, third-party dealers, the like, they thought that it was going to be similar to Shining Fates, and so they put in these massive orders for battle styles, let's say 2,000, 3,000 boxes. Well, that first wave, they allocated you whatever they could get out to you. And in the second wave, guess what? All the rest of that allocation, all the rest of that order came through. And now we've got a circumstance where battle styles is not nearly as popular anymore. Everybody's looking to the next thing, being Chilling Reign. And now everybody is undercutting each other, especially in the online market of just trying to dump all the remaining battle styles booster boxes that they have. So for me, to answer your question, Jake, I think that for me, it's always been about understanding how much I can actually leverage myself and having that backup plan. So for me, along with Pokemon, I've done business in various other industries. One of the other big ones is real estate. Now, I started in real estate. I bought my first house about a year out of college, and I lived there for about a year and a half. And I had the opportunity to move back in with a friend, so I rented that house. And the way that I was able to build up a portfolio of investment properties is about every 2 years, I would just move from my current residence, and during that interim, I would save up money for the next one. I was always building to save up for the next one. And essentially in the real estate realm, when you're doing that, when you're moving out about every 2 years, if the IRS sees that you're upgrading, the houses are getting better, they're getting more square footage, there's less of a down payment required, whereas most investment properties are 20%. So I think it's a lot of it too is just being savvy, understanding the opportunities that exist within those markets, and then correlating that to Pokemon. It's understanding where we currently sit in the market. So right now there's certain facets of the TCG that I think are still very investable and that I think are a good opportunity, but we're seeing retraces. So now may be the time to pivot and maybe transition yourself more to an actual business. Maybe it's more in the reseller realm. Maybe it's moving more into modern products and starting to work off of smaller margins that you are accustomed to in the investing realm. So I think really for me, mitigating risk is being malleable, understanding where the opportunities lie, capitalizing on those, and having a diverse enough of a portfolio, if you will, to where you then can allow yourself to mitigate those risks by being able to fall back on some of these other areas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about you, James? I'm interested, having, transitioned from the corporate world and now fully invested in Pokemon. And I know that a lot of your business is around flipping and consignments and things like that. I'm really interested to get your perspective.
That was taking on more risk right there. Just taking that plunge of not having that secondary salary.
I think a lot of it for me is just like you're saying at the beginning, just knowing the market, just having a pulse on the market is going to help you mitigate risk. It's like, like 2020, there was times where it was like, oh, you want a jungle box or base set box that's barely below market, right? That's maybe just taking off PayPal or eBay fees. Like, yeah, sure. Because I know it's like, you're seeing these boxes open, they're selling out in a day, and it's like, okay, well, I will take on that right now because I can feel where it's kind of like riding the momentum at that time. Whereas now, if someone says the same thing, it's like, no, I'm not even touching that until I see some kind of floor being built. Because, when you're selling, you have PSA cards in your eBay store, or, you're selling packs or whatever. I mean, you can feel like it's like you put something on Instagram. It's like, oh, this is for sale. I mean, you could tell how many emails you get. There was a time where it's, I'd put, oh, Neo Genesis first edition, and literally 5 minutes after, I would have had like 100 emails. It's like, I want it. Whereas now you might put it out and there might be none. I mean, it's just, so you have to kind of have a feel of the market. Really, is gonna help your risk a lot. And really for me too is I'll keep, it's basically just cash flow based. I mean, is basically my risk. It's like I'm not going below a certain threshold.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. Yeah.
So if it's not, I'll put stuff on a credit card, but I have stuff to pay it off just to get points. But that's the only real, leverage that I'm doing in there. And you just keep that. And if a deal comes up, the only way I'd really ever dip into something below that is if one of those once every 10-year collections, come in. It's like, okay, well, this is something that you're just going to have to do, and you can flip immediately a portion of it and slowly sell the rest. So I think it's basically just having a pulse on the market, really being engaged with different social media, YouTube. If you're selling, you can tell your sales volume. You can tell, eBay has statistics where you can see what how your months are going, and you can just tell the trends. You can see if you're on YouTube, like how many people are watching Pokemon channels. You look at every single Pokemon channel. They all went way up, and including mine in October and November, and then they just went back down. At least a lot of them did. But yeah, and then just don't all of a sudden turn your bank account to zero and then you're panicking, because the worst time to sell is when you have to sell. That's the worst time to sell, because then you're not going to get the price you want, and you're going to be all panicky, and that's not good. So the best time.
Sometimes it works out though. If you have to sell and you happen to have to sell 3 weeks after Logan Paul enters your hobby.
Okay. Well,
I'm just messing with you. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, that. Yeah. If you can time it right, if you get lucky in that one.
If you can time, yeah.
Yeah, but most of the time it's just you want to sell.
Time your fear.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah, those are all great answers. Yeah, I think that risk is a key component if you want to sustain anything in your life, is understanding the ebbs and flows and understanding how to keep things moving and keep making some profit, or at least staying afloat during times when it's difficult. And that's going to look differently for, I think it's part of why it's great having Mason here too, because he does something different than all of us here. Pokenav, although you're starting to get more involved in that, I think, on your end with your friend, but because there is different types of risk in each thing that we do, but a lot of the like similar principles of doing research, understanding what you're buying, having a buyer lined up or some sense of how many buyers there are going to be for this type of item, and then not, to James's point, not to summarize it, to keep a certain percentage of cash or of money not invested at all times to purchase other collections, unless there's like a blue moon type, like, with his level of experience in the hobby where he knows like this is such a sure thing, I'm willing to, and I can flip it so fast, as you said, that I can get the money out so quickly that it's worth doing that. So all that, if you're not thinking about a lot of that stuff, maybe start working on that, particularly if you want to have a business, and for me, one of the major ways I mitigate risk is that I have lots of other investments and I have a career outside of Pokemon. And fundamentally, if I made zero money on Pokemon, I would still have a sustainable career. So that helps me have cash flow into the hobby to always make purchases if I don't want to, sell things to make more purchases, and also allows me to, to not need to sell to pay bills and things like that. So but yeah, everyone has their own risk tolerance, and I do think that there isn't one answer. I think that you got like what's the guy's name? Oh gosh, I forgot his name. Dave Ramsey or something, that online personality guy who's like, no credit cards, no debt ever, to people who are like, it's all about the debt because you can leverage debt into more things, and then those things are going to grow faster than, so even I heard someone making an argument that you should go extremely into debt as a hedge against inflation and put all of that money into assets. These just like highly risky.
Grant Cardone versus Dave Ramsey.
Yeah. And these guys, their theories is particularly if you can have a cash type business where you get, or buying, to James's point, buying something extremely liquid where you feel like you can get it back quickly, and just keeping that money moving on higher, if you leverage yourself really highly, you can increase the amount you can buy and the amount you can sell. The danger is if the music stops on that, and then where you're at. So yeah, it's sort of like people have to decide what they're comfortable with.
For sure. All right, excellent. James, I think we will pass it along to you, man.
Mine would be so Mason, you were saying you don't do you submit to PSA or any of these grading companies? You just sell the singles, just the raw stuff if a collection comes in.
I am embarrassed to say that I have never submitted anything to PSA.
That surprises me because I think you get all these collections and because that's kind of so I guess my question would be like, or my topic would be, it used to be, buying collections was like the big, was a lot of fun to buy collections. With the PSA, turnaround time, it was like you kind of get it pretty quick. So you kind of knew that the prices were. But now it seems like that buying collections is like one of the riskiest, kind of things you can do, because you're buying the collection at the price now. PSA is closed, BGS is closed, CGC, who knows, they might close too. Considering how much turnaround time that's ballooned to. So if you
what is that at, by the way?
Yeah, I saw last time like 230 business days or something like that.
Yeah, man.
And it's gonna take them like 2 or 3 months to open it. But but yeah, so it's at least a year probably. But But yeah, so collection buying is just a pretty fun pastime for a lot of people who are doing the businesses or just flipping or just buying collections to grade them. Like what are you supposed to do if you buy a collection right now, like today? Like let's say it's a pretty big collection. Let's say it's $10,000. I don't know, whatever it is. Okay, are you just supposed to send it to PSA whenever they open? Are you supposed to use another smaller grading company? Is it just a time to list it as close as you can on eBay, like near mint condition, and get it to where it is there? I mean, it's because you buy a collection, you might not get it for 2 years. Who knows what happened? I mean, look what happened the past 2 years with Pokemon. I mean, it's a really tough thing to process for me right now, because it's a portion of my business is buying these collections, and it's become to the point where it's like unless it's like a absolute once every couple year collection that comes through, it's like, okay, well, I need to do that, but that's not really the bread and butter of buying these collections. It's like, what are you supposed to do in this kind of market with that, with falling prices, and it takes forever to grade it, and who knows what the cards will be when they come back. I think what are your thoughts on that? We can start with Jake, since I know he was kind of doing that for a while, with buying collections and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I built what I have primarily. I have dealt almost zero in sealed product. So for me, it's saving up a lot more money and buying much bigger collections and waiting for the right really big collections where I'm going to make the big margins. Also buying collections that are more PSA graded cards for me. Mm-hmm. So I've moved away from buying those big raw collections that I was doing. I still do buy those. Now my reputation really helps me sell ungraded cards. I think for a lot of people it's really hard. And for me, it's still harder to sell ungraded cards, but they tend to trust, I tend to look at it and give them a range, and they can believe that. So when I'm selling them, like, I've been selling like near mint base sets, I think that there's a little bit more trust there, and the transaction goes a little bit easier than it might otherwise. But it's always been easier for me to sell PSA cards than ungraded stuff. Always easier for me to get it at market, get the price that I want. It just makes the transaction so much easier. So for me, I also love that, because I just love easy, quick transactions as someone who has a full-time job other than this. I like selling, if I can, $10,000 at a time or $20,000 at a time. I don't like piecing out my individual cards and selling one at a time to people. So, so that's what I've been doing, and I've been able to get market, for it, or near market for it, just with the right people who really want to buy it. And because I have the premium stuff, because that's what I went after, and there just there's so little of it, right? I have many of the only PSA 10 like 9 level X cards. I have one of the only PSA 10 top zone, like these cards that just like there were 1 or 2 in the top 5 in the population, that type of thing. So, so I'm still looking. So to answer your question, I'm still looking for those types of collections. They haven't been in Pokemon this year. They've been in DBZ, where I plowed $40,000 to $50,000. That collection's worth over 200,000 now. It's coming back a little bit. Everything's coming back. Yeah.
200. Jake, we need to talk.
Yeah. I have a ton of sealed stuff now and a ton of boxes, and I've been buying the whole time, and a ton of GT, and yeah. Now, if you could find a buyer, right? So I wouldn't flip. Okay, this is not me telling people to buy and flip DBZ.
I don't think you can.
I have a passion for it. It's harder to sell than Pokemon. It's going to be more liquid, but there are Facebook groups where you can do that. We could go on a whole tangent on DBZ, but the point just being that I didn't find it in Pokemon this year. It's why I stopped buying, because those huge margins weren't there for me, and I believe they're going to come back. For me, I love being in this hobby. I'm going to be here for a long time. I understand patience from my 20 years now, basically, of investing from when I was a little kid. Like it's not making good returns, and it takes patience over many years. When people talk 5, 10, 20 years in advance, I don't think they don't really mean that. I really mean that. That's really my plan and what I'm thinking. I was not expecting to sell this year. The only reason I sold a lot And Z knows this. I would call him just like in a panic. Like I need, I know, like I have to sell all my unlimited. Like I have so much of it, and these prices are insane. Like, and I didn't want to because I have these long windows where I believe there is going to be a better time to buy, and that's how I buy. So I'm very different beast, right from probably everyone here. Maybe the most similar to you, Pokenab, in terms of holding stuff more. I'm not sure exactly, but you know. That for me, when I'm buying these large collections, I sell off some of the weaker pieces, but I'm holding the good ones because I've always been bullish on Pokemon in the long term. Outside of a little bit this year when it just was too high, and I don't even know if some of those prices will ever come back. You know, to be completely honest, and on vintage cards ever come back. You know, there's this fake idea of like vintage. If it's vintage, it's valuable. There's so much extremely common vintage. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we'll have to see with all of that, you know, but yeah, so saving up money, being more patient, and understanding that I can't buy those lots to grade anymore. Sorry for the long ramble. It could have been a much simpler answer, but it's the exact same question I've been asking myself, James. So I think that money train that you and I were on, where we just, you know, we would buy these collections. Like I bought a collection that I bought for $3,000 that was at the time after grading worth $30,000 that then turned into $500,000. One collection, $3,000 to $500,000 in Pokemon. One collection, right? It's stupid. It's a ridiculous money train, right? Those types of buys. There's so many people looking for those. They don't really exist. People are actually overpaying a lot this year for collections because they didn't understand grading fees. They didn't understand that it's, I think they heard people like James and I do it and saw us do it and thought all I do is just like buy collections. I make money, you know, some of these people. So be careful, you know, and to James' point, be careful with buying collections, particularly in this environment. You really have to understand like what that means and how long you might have to sit if you're going to grade them, particularly if you want to wait for cheaper grading prices, like all of that stuff. And if you're doing like modern, or you're doing like, you know, unlimited, or like, you know, mid-grade anything vintage, the margins are probably not going to be there after grading. Like it's rough right now. Like the prices these collections are going for aren't worth it. You know, so I think what James and I used to do a lot of is we would try to buy really minty looking collections, large minty looking collections. We would try to pay like PSA 8-ish prices. Now I'm speaking for you too, James, but I have a feeling, you know, trying to pay in that range, and then we'd get a bunch of 10s, right? You know, maybe, you know, 40% 9s, 30%, you know, 40% 10s, and then, you know, just less 8s. And it just was a huge money maker. We might get back to that. We might not. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you guys think that to that level is ever going to return? To where you can just buy collections and flip for that kind of profit?
I don't know.
You never could. It was just like, those were just always a once in a while. I mean, it was more abundant, but
yeah,
turnaround time just have to get a lot shorter. So like, you know, because it's just the risk of 2 years of getting your cards back. I mean, like I said, 2 years ago was a lifetime ago in Pokemon. It's just completely different, you know.
Right.
So who knows?
I mean, 2 years ago, I bought stuff every day.
Yeah.
This year, once every 6 months in Pokemon, just to show you the difference in patience, right? I was buying multiple things a day a lot of the time. So that's my strategy. That's what I did.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to, you know, going off of that, I'd like to pose the question to you guys. Do you think, you know, the buying of these collections, whereas before it was predominantly ungraded raw cards, do you think that perhaps once a lot of these cards come back from PSA or these various grading companies, and then you have this large swath of graded cards, do you think that there will be more of a push to actually buy completely graded collections, kind of like what you guys were seeing there with Whatnot, of people buying the graded cards, they're already graded, so you don't have to wait for the turnaround time to take that raw card, have it graded, wait for the turnaround. You're just buying the collection already graded, and then just, as you said, sitting on that for the long term.
There's still definitely new people. Oh, go ahead, John.
I think there's just going to be so much supply, and I think I've just kind of taken that stance for so long now of this junk slab era and the amount that's out there and coming back. And I just personally, I can't see the other side of it. I don't see that viewpoint, and I don't know where people are hearing it from to buy these slabs. I don't know who's talking about it anymore. I think all of us are talking about junk slab era now and have been forever, for a year. And so I don't know where that information is coming from and who these people are listening to, but I just can't see that continuing. I mean, we're going to be using these things as coasters and leveling out tables. Like, there's so much of it.
This is a bit of a bubble within the Pokemon community, I will tell you. There's a lot of people saying buy everything still. A lot of channels.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's just interesting, and that's why I wanted to pose it, because I don't know. Like, I'm a little bit torn on this one. Is, you know, when a lot of these cards come back and that supply does hit the market, more than likely prices are going to reflect that influx of supply, and you're going to see that chopped off again and again and again. So I'm just curious, do you know, would you see that as an opportunity to then jump in and buy while the prices are low, or do you see it as just an oversupply issue, and that the even buying a full collection of, you know, maybe a full, I don't know, a full unlimited base set, graded collection, near mint, gem mint, do you think that you'll ever really recoup the expenses on that if there are so many cards out there? James, how many Charizard, how many base set Charizards did you guys see come through there?
Yeah, a lot, especially at Evolution's Charizard. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
There's hundreds a week right now for Evolution's Charizard being graded every week.
It's a crazy amount, yeah.
And lots of 10s. As I was trying to explain to people, the 10s are going to outnumber, even because the ratio is low, whatever. I've made that argument so many times to people. Hopefully it's sunk in. But I think that, like, I can very confidently say I have absolutely no idea, Pokemon. If you're asking the right question and it has no answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, like, are you saying that people will just like pick up all these cards if they go for under grading costs just to have it?
Yeah, and then you basically using the same tactic of buying an entire collection. So basically you're just skipping the grading process, right? Whereas before, James and Jake, they were picking up the ungraded cards. They were picking them up raw. They're picking them up at a discount. Then they go in, they factor in the grading costs, and then the premium that is garnered on having a full, complete collection, and the premium by the graded cards was what was giving them those huge margins. Now, on the other hand, with so many cards coming back onto the market, the prices are surely to fall when they all do hit. So do you still try to have that same tactic of completing a collection, this time skipping the grading process and then waiting that same time frame?
And yeah, instead of the added value being the grades they receive, the added value is the time you saved or from grading. So I met actually Sasha. What's his name? His YouTube name, Jake?
Sasha T.
Yeah, Sasha T. I met him the other day, and that's all he does in his vlogs. He just goes and buys these $20-$30 slabs. He'll buy out entire tables for 60% of eBay or whatever the comps are. And he's crushing it. But you know, would that happen in Pokemon?
He got crushed too, but he doesn't show that.
Well,
he lost 200,000 so far in that Charizard that he bought.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to him about that trade and the value, like his cost to everything too. But
it's okay. Everyone has seen big losses who have big things.
but specifically on that, on the low end stuff, like Pokenav is talking about. Yeah, like it's working in sports for him. It's working in sports for other people. I don't know about any Pokemon people that are just buying hundreds of slabs of $20-$30 slabs and finding somewhere to sell them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's a really solid business model, we think, at least for right now, because the floor, you know. But the issue are those going to go to zero? That's the issue. Are they going to go to $3, $4? That's the issue. You know, they were 3-4. I bought a bunch of PSA 9s and PSA like uncommons, commons for $3, $4 that would come up in PWCC. You know,
so people were paying $8 at the time to get graded.
Yeah. I have at least 100 to 200 slabs that are like PSA 9, like legendary collection, just like random card, like common uncommons that I bought like $3 each. you know. And I did it with the exact same theory as like people are going to want these one day. It's a great piece to complete your set. The cost of grading at that time is like $8, you know, $7.50 at the cheapest to 12, whatever it is. I liked that, and I thought that at $3 it was like there's real value there. Now at $50, you know, now I think one key piece here is, right, how expensive is the grading going to be? So is it the same thing, right? If you're buying a $40 card and the grading costs $50, is that the same thing as my $3 to $8, you know, analogy here? To me, it's not, because it's a lot more money, and I bought hundreds for $300, $400, right? Mm-hmm. You know, just nothing. And to do that, it costs a lot more. But yeah, and I guess the key point, right? And to your point, John, is like when all of that supply comes back, I can see one of two things. It just keeps getting gobbled up because there's enough of a market for those low end slabs, and it, you know, or we start seeing listings on eBay of like buy 5 get 1 free, you know, or like, you know, like 100 Charizard Hidden Fates tin, you know, Charizards in PSA like 7, 8, like all the bad ones that like somehow got graded poorly, just like sitting on eBay, you know, buy 4, you know, get a little bit off, like these types of things that exist have existed in all these hobbies for a long time before this period. Mm-hmm. Not in Pokemon graded cards, because there never were, no one ever graded those cards. It's the first time anyone's ever grading cards like that in this type of hobby. So I think it's my answer is I definitely don't know PokeNap, because I just don't know what the demand is going to be like. I don't know if it's going to absorb it. What I will say is I'd much rather spend $1,500 on a PSA 10 first edition jungle card that has an extremely low pop, that there've only been 2 added this year. You know, I'd much rather spend $1,500 on that, both in terms of my enjoyment and the investment quality of that card, and the fact that I think it's a historic piece in the Pokemon hobby, versus a PSA 8, right? Versus buying like 100, 500 of those, you know. Now, which one is the better deal in terms of the flipping? This is where you get into like, are you a flipper reseller or are you an investor? Right? If you're a flipper and reseller like Sasha, it might be better to buy those low end ones and try to quickly flip them for double, because you have the connections, you know how to offload them. That isn't investing, right? I mean, we could say investing is anything where you put money and you try to get more out of it, but it's not long-term investing or medium-term investing. So I don't know. What do you guys think about all that?
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Mason, James, if you guys want to jump in.
No, yeah, I mean, like I said, I have so little experience with graded cards. I know, you know, that's a big part of what James does, and Jake, and you guys have all tons of experience in that. A lightweight flex, all right.
Cool, bro.
All right, man. No, but yeah,
open it. Just let him open. We'll open one.
Yeah, he can do it while I talk.
Right here.
Yeah,
right
it's
here.
Fine. No, but yeah, I mean, graded is in a very scary place right now, for modern and vintage stuff, and we have not even seen what's going to come back, and you know, the grades of what it's going to be is going to be crazy, and I don't know what you do. Like, if somebody brought me 100 slabs into my store, would I even want to buy them? You know, it's important to think about, like, if somebody's coming to you and wanting to sell, why are they wanting to sell? You know, it's just like, are they expecting, you know, very poor percentage back on it? Do they expect, you know, they see the market happening? I mean, and that's the kind of stuff that I ask. I love buying collections, especially from collectors, because they have a rhyme and reason for everything, because they're knowledgeable about what's going on. So I always ask, like, okay, why are you getting rid of this card in particular? Or why are you trading this to me and you want this one? Why do you want this card in particular? So I always ask those kind of questions to figure out what's going on in their head. And, you know, it also helps, you know, whether or not they're educated buyers or sellers or not, and, you know, just whether it's going to be worth my time to make an offer or not, you know, on something that's, you know, a percentage that's reasonable. So, you know, and I think people get their 100 card return, you know, of their, you know, Eevees and Pikachus from Base Set and Jungle and all that. And and 7s and 6s, you know, and they bring it up to my store. What are they expecting? You know, and that's the thing is, how hard is it going to be for me to try to get rid of that too? You know, it's those are all these questions. A lot of risk talk right now about you know, tonight. A lot of it's uncertainty about stuff. It's all stuff you think about when you go and sit down and even decide, do I even want to buy this? Is it worth the risk right now?
And John's point is so great, right, to illustrate it, Mason, right? Because it's like Sasha made a lot of money on going after the non-investable low-end stuff and flipping it, and lost a ton of money in the short run. I mean, he didn't lose it because he's going to hold it and it might recover on the item you're supposed to buy as the key investment set piece, right? So here are examples of where it's making money is complicated, and there's a lot of different things to figure out, and there are time horizons. And there are times when it makes more sense to do this, times when it makes more sense to do this. Are you a business? Are you an investor? Do you have the time to flip? Do you have the energy? You know, he also gets a lot of content out of that. There are a lot of reasons why that makes a lot of sense for him to do, you know, that sort of model. And why for your store, you know, it's like you're thinking about that stuff too. It's like, you know, what level or what priced items are going to sell the best out of here? What price items are going to sell the best on your online store? You know, how are you going to then also, you know, continue to build your following? And to Z's point in his latest video, there are also lots of other ways to make money in Pokemon beyond buying and selling cards. You know, creating content is a way to make money. So,
and I mean, it just like I said, it just depends on who you are too. I mean, like Mason said, oh, should I buy these? If someone brings in 50 slabs, should I buy them even if they're a lot lower? And that's you know, that's your business mind. You know, whereas, you know, when you're running a business, it's like, well, I should be buying as it keeps going up because I see the trend and I'm riding the wave, and then I can sell the higher one. And then when the prices are going lower as a business, you're like, maybe I shouldn't buy. Whereas if you're the opposite side, if you're like a collector, if it's going down, you know, that's might be a good time to buy. Where it's going up, you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't buy. You know, I should wait. So it also depends, kind of, you know, who you are, you know, as in this whole hobby, you know, as to when or if you should actually buy and sell.
Sadly, most people are not that rational, James. There are a lot of people who a few months ago were clamoring to buy things at a price they wouldn't touch today.
Yeah. I have made a lot of money by not buying things.
Yeah, truer words were never spoken. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mason, why don't that was a good one. That was a good one, James. Yeah. Mason, why don't you go ahead and round us out for tonight?
No, yeah, like I said, a lot of risk and gloom and doom talk. So I got a lighthearted one. Every video I post, every live chat I have, everybody's always talking about, ask me all these questions. When are we getting special delivery Charizard? And we're seeing stuff, you know, online and pictures posted and stuff. So I was going to ask you guys, how are we going to get it? When are we going to get it? Because it's already Sword and Shield promo 75. We're up to like 120 now. So we're way behind on when we were supposed to get this card. And how does Pokemon release this to make it fair? Because obviously the Pokemon Center with special delivery Pikachu, you know, a lot of people, and how fast it sold out, you know, it wasn't really a fair way to distribute that card. So I was wondering if you guys had some insight to give Pokemon how to make this fair, so that everybody gets a little piece of this Charizard that everybody's after. And still, like I said, ask me all the time, when are we going to see it and all that. So thoughts, please.
I'll stick to my original theory months and months ago when I used to make YouTube content that they'll just randomly insert them into Pokemon Center orders during like a week of time and not tell anybody.
I think that'd be awesome. I think that'd be a good way to do it, honestly. That's as good as any, I think.
That's what I'd like to see.
I know, I've seen two videos that popped up. I saw recently, it was like, rumor is, you know, that's the like Chilling Rain popped up on Pokemon Center, and it's gonna be Charizard in that. And I was like, what? There's no backing behind that, but who knows? I would say fairest, I don't know, maybe like randomly inserted in that 25th anniversary set.
Okay.
I think they have like a 4-card booster pack or something, or a small something like that. I don't know. That's what I said, but it's like if it's 4 cards, there's usually 4 pre-release cards, so maybe one of them is that. Of course, then everybody's gonna be buying it, and everybody's gonna be angry, but I don't know.
Angry? No way.
Yeah, angry. But
Everyone just buys one and then leaves more for the other people. That's been my experience.
yeah, you just have to be random. That's the only care. I don't know. It's the only way you get out of bots doing it. You just randomly put it in.
Yeah, I agree with you, James. That was actually my same sentiment. As I thought if they were going to release something like that, probably put it in the 25th anniversary set. It seems like it's going to be really small as far as the total cards. You're looking at mini packs that will probably have the Neo reprints in it. I mean, that seems to be what we're going to be getting is Neo reprints. How much is actually going to be reprinted? It seems like it's going to be pretty small, especially if you're having mini packs. And then it sounds like they might be including previous sets, actual booster packs in these ETBs. It's really weird. It's really weird. The information that we have thus far is really weird. And I think that, to me, I think the whole mini packs and including packs from previous sets, I think this is more of a supply chain issue, and I think they know that. I think they got people excited enough by having the Neo reprints, which a lot of us were speculating on, but I still don't think they're going to have the manpower, the printing power, and the capability to really meet demand, and so I think that's why they're having a smaller production. And especially with a subset, right, when all you have the main product in subsets are ETBs, which are much more logistically challenging to produce than booster boxes. So I think that's probably why you're seeing that, and I think to create maybe even more excitement around it, with it being a small set that could maybe frustrate people, you throw in the special delivery Charizard in there to get people excited. Or maybe as a pre-release. Maybe you throw it in as like a pre-release card, kind of like what James was talking about.
I didn't even hear that. So it is going to be Neo reprints. I didn't even hear that.
Well, the jumbos.
Jumbos.
Right, Pokedev?
As far as I know, from what I was reading on PokeBeach, is that it looks like it's going to be Neo reprints, like an Evolutions-esque type of set. Really? You guys can certainly correct me if I'm wrong.
I had no idea that was happening either. Now I gotta check.
Yeah, I don't know. I would correct you if I knew, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I've heard nothing.
Do a fact check on that on PokeBeach. I think the article was posted last week. There was,
really?
And I'll tell you what, if it is, then I am a Pokenomics, because I was calling Neo Evolutions here a few months ago. But,
I was saying that years ago, Pokedev.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'll bring up the E4. I'll bring up the E4 thread just to show off.
Yeah, I've been hoping. My dream. Everyone always asks me that question on my live streams, and I always just say I want Neo reprinted with the legendary collection reverses in it.
Oh yeah.
Sure. That's like my boilerplate answer for the last 5 months whenever I got asked that question. I don't see it here, but I'll look later. Yeah, I don't have anything to really add. I think jumping off of John's point, I guess, I don't think they'd do this because it's just it seems a little a bit much and kind of ridiculous, but they could do John's idea where you get it, they don't announce it, and you just start randomly getting it. And then they could also wait a month until everything is sold. And then all the people that bought something within a window get sent one of the cards to their house. And so no one ever knew what it was going to be, when it was going to be. So the word never got out, and then people never panicked and went to the website. So it's completely random. Yeah. You know, I don't know if Pokemon would ever do something like that. It feels a little bit I don't know.
I kind of at this point, that's what they would almost have to do, though. That's the only way to avoid people taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's really on them. You know, it's just people are. It's crazy. For me, I'm just I have no interest in that card. I have no interest. All the buzz. I have some interest in it. It's okay. You know.
You have special delivery Pikachus, don't you?
Do I?
Yeah. Do you?
No, I don't have any.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, I just don't They're fine. My honest opinion of all those cards is they're cool cards. there are a million cool vintage older promos that people don't talk about and don't know about that are much more connected to my life and my childhood. And so it's just like, that being said, like I like they're cool, you know, they're you know, I'd be happy to own some, but I don't feel a strong need to. It doesn't feel like my collection's missing those sorts of things. So I have to say that that's how I feel about them more broadly. I might just be obviously just my bias taking control, but I think that those cards are just very hyped. And I think 10 years looking back, the you know, the old promos are going to be the ones that have all the value and that are, you know, going to stand the test of time. And those are just going to be another Pikachu Charizard promo of like 50 more we're going to get in the next few years. So we're probably going to get like a shiny version of that at some point, you know? So for me, I wouldn't invest in those. I think they're way too risky. I think it's silly, but you should be enjoying the hobby. And if it's what's enjoyable is tracking those down, buying them, I'm like, I want people to like, I don't want to yuck people's yum. You know, I'm not trying to be like that curmudgeon-y person. I'm just trying to tell you what I think as far as the investment side. And like when we talk about risk, those are just far too risky, and they have everything going against them in terms of being the most hyped, like the most talked about YouTube, like cards everywhere that everyone knows about, that all the casual collectors know about. They have no age. There are tons of Pikachu promos, you know, there are gonna be tons more. So sorry to be the bummer on it, but it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. This is what I don't get, is when people hear that it's not valuable, they like don't enjoy it anymore. And that's what concerns me more than anything. Is like, who cares if you enjoy it? Like, does it need to be, you know, a $10,000 card? And I don't know. It concerns me that people get upset, you know, when I feel like I just speak like very common sense, hopefully. But
I'll give Mason's answer too, and he'll be like, I hope they just send like 100 special delivery Charizards to every LGS. You know?
No, that's definitely, if staff promos were any indication, no, that'll never happen.
They're gonna come in MetaZoo boxes.
Yeah.
Twist.
Hey.
We didn't talk about MetaZoo tonight. What's going on, guys? And people aren't talking about the zoo anymore in the Pokemon community.
I'm still sitting on like 5 Kickstarter boxes.
So that's actually one last
thing. Are you holding them? Are you
for the long term?
I'm waiting to go home so I can figure out what to do.
Oh, okay.
But just one last thing that I just kind of want to get you guys' take on. Upcoming new TCGs, CCGs coming out. We're seeing that across the board, right? Animes coming out with new products, games, former video games coming out with new CCGs. What are you guys most excited for that's releasing in the near future?
For me, it's Pokemon or bust. That's how it's always been. Growing up, I was never in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dragon Ball Z. It was only Pokemon, so I'm one of those weirdos. So I don't really know any kind of new ones that are coming out, honestly.
I mean, if I had to choose one of the mainstream ones that I'd like to see do well, it's probably Digimon. But knowing Bandai and what they have done with Dragon Ball Super and all that, I don't have high hopes. But I know the game's fun, and people really like to play the game. So I think it has, good metrics behind that. Flesh and Blood, we'll see what that does when people are actually going out and playing the game. You know, super hyped, super speculative, investing in that. Yeah. It's yet to be seen whether or not, if there's an organized play element to it, that, you know, how much of the players are going to be behind it. Yeah. That's the two maybe, you know, that I would be, and I am actually stocking it and trying to get into my store, is those two in particular.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not just an investing question. It could also be a business related one, like for you, Mason, things that you think are going to really take off once people start getting back together and playing competitively. I've seen it myself with Digimon. I believe, wasn't it today that the pre-release, I think there's a new, is it Digimon or maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! That just released today? And I know we've been having some pre-release parties around here. Yeah, actually, the new set comes out next week officially, but yeah, the pre-release would be this week. Yeah, there's been a lot of excitement around, at least in my immediate area, for that. A lot of people calling in to all their card shops trying to get boxes, wanting to overpay for boxes. So yeah, Digimon, I think at least from a business perspective, I really can't speak on it from an investing. I know it was very popular back in the day, and it's kind of starting to make its resurgence now. The other one that I was looking at, I get notices on pre-orders now and for sets that are releasing in the latter half of this year, is My Hero Academia is having essentially their alpha or their base set that is releasing in August, which is one of the most popular animes outside of Pokemon, in the United States at least. And they're having their base set essentially releasing in August. So that
didn't they do Weiss Schwartz? Wasn't My Hero Academia and Weiss Schwartz, or no?
Was it? It may have been.
There's a lot of stuff in that, right? That's
I bought a ton of
biggest,
7 Deadly Sins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I bought like
we need
8
squeaks.
cases.
Where's squeaks? Phone in squeaks with the question.
Yeah, I think I bought 8 cases of 7 Deadly Sins Weiss Schwartz because I love that show. So
My Hero has been interesting because it's been delayed. It's been delayed for almost a year now. I know it was supposed to come out last year, and I've been pre-ordered. I've in for boxes and stuff since that long. So I'm in on it to see how it does, of course. But I don't know how far down we wanted to go about Asmodee, who distributes for Europe Pokemon, interesting enough, has actually partnered with the makers of the game and have kind of like become like the premier distribution channel for that game now. And they're giving deals for people that have not pre-ordered through them and got a special deal through Asmodee. And of course, I'm already pre-ordered with the other 2 main distributors I have for this product. So I'm like, hey, what's up with this? What's going on? Because they're getting promos and a special organized play stuff if you go through them. So I'm not too happy about that aspect of it. But yeah, like I said, it's been 9 months, I think, since it's been delayed. So yeah, it's an interesting little tidbit there.
What about you, Jake?
Your question was just like what new like TCGs we were interested in that are coming out?
Yeah, just things that you see coming down the pipeline that you think might have potential from either perspective.
I'm really not following anything. The things that I've really devoted myself to like follow, I'm really trying to get into Yu-Gi-Oh right now. DBZ, DBS, trying to like learn about the market more. And then the ones I'm watching are MetaZoo and Flesh and Blood. As far as the new ones, because I personally believe if things are going to continue really strong, it's going to be from collectors and not from players. So I have my own theories about collectability over playability going forward, and we're going to see how all of that works out. Historically, a lot of these games have really been built, and the value in cards have really been sustained by players and by the playable cards and a lot of these sorts of things. So I'm interested to see how you have like buddy fight on one side, like very great game, very playable, versus some of these like IPs that are a little bit more purely collector based or larger collector bases, and which ones do better on the secondary market and in what ways. So I wouldn't be surprised if in this age of booming people getting back into collectibles and collecting cards, if something becomes highly collectible out of this period, and it may be something that hasn't been announced yet. I'm still waiting for like new Harry Potter, new, more Star Wars stuff,
there is a new Star Wars TCG coming out, actually.
Yeah.
I saw.
I heard about that. Do you have any details? Because I don't know anything about it, though.
I do not. Yeah, I don't have anything. Like I said, I just saw an advertisement for it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm expecting more. As long as that demand, we'll probably see more of those, just like we saw in the 90s where like everyone had a card game, like that type of thing. So that's sort of what I'm
wait
looking
for
at.
that. I bought Samurai Jack. I bought Teen Titans. I bought
Samurai
like
Jack.
random.
Awesome.
It was like just open for fun. I wish I bought it when it was literally worthless, but I bought it as things creep back up. So
yeah,
just for fun.
Yeah.
Naruto, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
been heavy into those.
I think Digimon's interesting. I've talked to people who are really passionate about it and really like it. It's not. I watch Digimon. I don't get it as much as the others. But I have heard it's like they're controlling the releases very well. Like there's not a lot of product. They're printing like enough. I don't know if that's true or not, Mason, or like what your perspective on all that is. I see a face, so it might not be.
They could have printed 4 times as much, and they probably would have sold it all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That they've the same with DBS, that they're keeping these print runs low, which is going to be good for that long-term viability in terms of being the the secondary market, the collector scene. We're gonna have to see how all that plays out with maybe turning people off from the game. That's not creating a bigger consumer base. These are the types of things that nobody knows. They're risks, they're pros and cons to all these decisions these companies make. So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure even with Digimon, I think they are actually already doing like a best of the past couple sets that already came out, just to re-release cards so they get back into the market again.
Yeah.
Which is very unusual for a card game that's not even a year old yet. But yeah, I think they're just trying to get more product out there just because the players need the cards.
Yeah, how companies, that's an interesting thing, is how companies decide to do reprints is a really interesting topic. And what's a reprint, and as it relates to Pokemon too, because we're now we might be getting our second this Neo reprint set. I'm definitely gonna have to check that. But
like I said, Bandai
these things.
Bandai, who makes Digimon and Dragon Ball Super, for a long time in Dragon Ball Super, they did not reprint anything.
Yeah.
And so these very, very staple cards were very expensive and hard to find. Going a year and a half into the cards, lifespan, just because the boxes dried up. There's just no more product to be had, because they're very much print to demand, or print to have a little extra, and then once it's gone, it's gone.
Sure.
So they finally did start reprinting some of the better playable stuff, and it looks like they're doing the same thing with Digimon a little earlier now, which is good. So. It's just going to control the prices and make it more reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. Well, guys, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. That was really, really good conversations, and I just want to thank all of you guys for joining in once again. Mason, big shout out to you again. I really appreciate you being
thanks,
here.
Guys.
Yeah,
no, appreciate you. Really do.
And thanks for the insight too, from your perspective. Before we head out here, I'll thank everybody for being in the chat. We've had quite a lively chat going on throughout this conversation, so I want to thank everybody that has stuck with us throughout this entire conversation. It's gone on many tangents, so I just want to thank everybody. And then I want to give you guys just a quick second before we sign off here, just to let everybody know if you've got anything coming down the pipeline, anything that you want to share that maybe you have on your own channels, anything like that. So Jake, we'll go ahead and start with you.
I have a new podcast that I started.
Oh, really? Tell us more, please.
Yeah. I have a new podcast with the Collect and Spec guys. I'm not sure if you have heard of them. I really like them. You should check out their channel, Collect and Spec. They have a really great podcast for people who just like long form. They really know their stuff. They know their stuff in multiple TCGs. They've been buying and selling for 10 years, and are just like really passionate about it. I don't remember the name of our podcast, so it's hard for me to plug that, but I think we just came up with a name. I think it's called, I'll just plug their channel and not ours. That's how I do it.
Nice.
I think it's called Pocket Change. I think we decided on the name Pocket Change.
Okay.
So have you guys had any episodes drop yet?
We have one episode that we dropped. We're going to be dropping them every Sunday. So for people who just like long form content, I'm taking off some of the conversations I was having on my channel and putting them there. And my channel is going to be like the lives and just like the more straightforward talking to camera videos. So we'll have guests on there. We'll do lives. I'm sure we'll have all of you guys on there probably at some point if you guys want to come.
Cool.
It's just a place to kind of like hang out. We're trying different things. And there's a link to the channel on my last live video, if you guys want to find it. So yeah.
Cool.
Otherwise, just doing the YouTube channel, doing Patreon now. So James, what are your thoughts on people doing Patreon off your last video? So my hope is that the Patreon, we're going to be doing like a live Zoom meeting where people are actually going to get to communicate, and I want to actually do like breakout rooms, maybe not this one, but in the future, where I want to bring a lot of people in to host different things and it kind of have like a conference feel where people are going to, rather than just listening to us talk like this, I want it to have a roundtable effect, but also an engagement effect from the audience. We're going to see how all that goes. It could be unruly, and it's going to be, but I hope that it's going to be worthwhile experience for people. And it's $10 a month to be a part of that. So, so I'll plug that as well. And yeah, thanks guys.
Cool.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
And thank you, Pokenat, for having us always and hosting this. It's a lot of fun to get together. Thank you for doing the scheduling and trying to figure it out for all of us. So we all love to talk, so it's just great that we can hang out and talk this, and help us find a time that works for all of our schedules.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, everybody listening out there, make sure that you look out for that. Pocket Change, correct, Jake? Is it
Pocket Change? Yeah, I think so.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. He thinks.
Crushing it over there.
You should name it possibly Pocket Change.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, John. What about you, man? What's now that you're getting out of California?
I'm resurrecting.
Yes.
I'm gonna start making videos again. I think. Hopefully, bring back collectible conversations with Squeaks if he's probably not here. But I need to do that again, and then just start doing my own thing again. I really miss doing the PokémonRadar stuff. So
yeah,
I'll be back on. I know people have been upset and missing my podcast, which is fantastic. All three of you, Swami, and so I'll just start doing that soon. I'm gonna be back in my hometown on Monday. Still traveling a lot, going to Collecticon if anyone's going.
Nice.
And maybe do some more vlogs too.
Perfect. Yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to you bring back the podcast. I told you before when I had you on the very first episode here that I was listening to you, back in, I think you started that in like late 2019, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's it's a great podcast, man. And
thank you.
I took it personally when you took a hiatus from it.
Sorry, man. I appreciate all the content you guys have been putting out, so it keeps me alive too.
John, are you gonna do any more with Gary, King Pokemon? Are you gonna do any more with him? Anything planned?
I hope so. I've been talking to him. I need to go out and visit him soon. But he misses me too. He misses the podcast as well. So I gotta get the King and I back going. I have too many podcasts.
I saw that he started I know he had a channel, but I saw that he started making videos. One popped up on my feed.
Yeah, he just
I have to watch some of them, but
no rhyme or reason, but that's good.
I'm always interested to hear what Gary has to say, so I definitely will check them out. Yeah. Whether I agree or not, I'm interested. I'm certainly interested.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's good to hear, man. James, we got more truth bombs coming down the pipeline.
My favorite videos right now. I love them.
They're great. I just love when you say your actual opinion, and I disagree with your opinion plenty of times, but I just love hearing your opinions. It's great.
Yeah. My next one's about people who just say hodl, and everything. But anyway, we're just making YouTube and finally getting back graded gem stuff. Submissions from August, so I've gotten back like 3 in the past 10 days. So hopefully they start coming in and. Finally emailing those people and just saying, hey, got to confirm your address because I'm sure a lot of people moved since it's been so long. You didn't have to do that before, but just making sure they're all and just getting through that, and we'll see what happens in July. If they actually do reopen or not.
More upcharges? How's the upcharge situation?
Quite a few upcharges. Yeah, they're not. They're not messing around anymore. They're just. I mean, someone got a PSA 10 Charizard and $1,000 upcharge for like a base set. Yeah. So they're just they just don't really miss those much anymore. I'm guessing with the new management, they're like, hey, we're missing so much money on here, but. I don't know. It's a little interesting because under each upcharge there's a little. I've never seen this line item before. It says imaging, ... and there's no fee there. So I'm wondering if maybe they're doing like the Genomit thing. They're doing like they're imaging it and making sure it's that grade to upcharge. I don't know, but it's thing.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's all from me.
Cool. Cool. Well, good deal, man.
How's these
Honestly,
flips going over there?
oh yeah.
I haven't checked these flips in a while. You still making content there?
Just throwing random crap up there right now. So, you know, yeah, that's a complete mess over there. I'm waiting to get back my WADA Super Smash Bros. Melee that I sent in March.
Me too.
March, and it was supposed to be a 15-day turnaround. It's freaking June. So,
Wow.
you know, I don't know. Everybody's backed up apparently. So, waiting for that.
Good deal. All right, and Mason, what do you got going on, man? I'm sure you're going to be busy as ever.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah, a lot of chilling rain talk. I just opened a couple boxes on my channel this week, so that was pretty hype. A lot of people came out and watched me for doing that. That's awesome. I hit 15K subs, so that's a big deal. I'm going to do a Q&A here before too fast.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. But yeah, other than that, just as busy as ever, doing Pokemon and other TCG and video game things, and you know, appreciate everybody that's been watching and all you guys for the stuff that you pump out, and you know, inviting me to talk. I love doing these kind of videos almost as much as, you know, my standalone ones. So anytime any of you want to do anything, normally I'm free. So
Cool.
so
we're almost as good
now.
at being by yourself, is what you're saying.
Almost. Almost. But no, yeah.
Talking with us is almost as good as just talking to the camera.
Well, you in particular, Jake, I sit here and listen to you anyways, so I just, this is just like watching one of your videos at this point. So that's, but no, you know, I love you.
Woo!
But yeah, thank you for just having me along for the ride. Appreciate you guys.
No, I really appreciate it, man, and to all of you guys, I just want to give you a huge thank you for everything that you do for the community, everything that you have been doing for so long now, and hopefully as things start to even out, and we maybe be able to see each other in person at either events or regionals, worlds, or hey, maybe you guys just come on down to good old Phoenix, Arizona, and we'll do a live podcast or something. So
Yeah,
That's good.
2 of us here already.
yeah. All right, it looks like John dropped off. It looks like he's heading out. I think he was having some issues with his
John couldn't hear. He was writing to us that he couldn't hear. That's why I was
gotcha.
laughing. He's like, I have no idea what's going on right now.
Well, now my OBS is totally screwed up, so the image that everybody's seeing is
Man,
John
but that's okay.
ruined it.
That's okay.
Classic John.
You know, we'll
His
let him go. This
solution was
time.
just to cut and run. Couldn't hear, so he cut and run.
All right, guys. Well, again, big thank you to all you guys, and again, big thank you to everybody out there watching and listening. And we will see you guys